Jonathan Fibonacci, going to talk about meditation. And you know what? Let's see if I can do this. Here we go. I've Googled meditation, only 8.8 million videos on meditation and mindfulness and guided meditation and to ease anxiety, worry, overthinking, deep blissful relaxation. We got beginners, we got calm, we got everybody's talking. Look at that, an hour guided meditation for deep, mindful relaxation. I mean, how can I get a video to even rank? I mean, everybody's talking about meditation. So here you go. Jonathan Fibonacci, going to talk about a thought that I had towards meditation. Let me show it to you. Boom. In fact, let me just introduce myself. Twitter style, Jonathan Fibonacci. You're like, all right, Jonathan Fibonacci, you got 5 minutes. Tell me all about meditation. I'm too stressed out. Yoga pants, gluten. Tell me how to eat. I know this may offend some people. By the way, the Jonathan Fibonacci here, nature lover, dad, stock trader, teacher, book reader, cannabis advocate, hashtag American photographer, newbie comic. I love life and meditation. In fact, I've been posting all kinds of videos here. And, you know, I talk about day trading. I talk about traveling and, of course, photography. And sometimes I even share my photography. And, like, maybe you want to buy my photography. And maybe you're like, all right, there's your 5 minutes. You got to wrap up your intro, Fibonacci. Make it what? No, you could buy. All my prints are for sale. But here's about meditation. You know, there's a quote in the Course of Miracles. And I don't talk a lot about the Course in Miracles, but it's a really, really good book. It's probably in my top five, my top five, I guess, spiritual guides. Obviously, the Bible, the Enneagram, but the Course in Miracles has some really interesting things, and it's a very dense book. It's the antithesis to goalless. Here I go talking about different books, and yes, that's one way that I like to meditate. Other than photography, is reading books and learning how to meditate and living a spiritual life. And what the fuck does that really mean? And maybe we just need to put on some shaman music and just relax and chill out. But here's a thought that I had on meditation. Before I really say it succinctly, let me set up for you. Let me show you some powerful Native American drumming music for 2 hours. No, this is really only going to be about a 5-minute video. But this is why you need meditation.
I'm not giving mine up. A new generation of whips is turning the family road trip.
There you go.
Tomorrow we ride combined.
This is just an ad. This is just an ad. Where I'm going with this is that we live in a culture that every 5 minutes we have 4,000 messages, pigs driving, May 19th movies coming out, and then finally we get to meditation. And then we get to meditation, and it kind of looks like that. You're like, all right, Fibonacci, what's your point? I need you to tell me how to meditate so I can get your fucking video up here, and you could be 9th million person talking about meditation. And here's a thought on meditation. And I want to go back to the Course in Miracles. There's a quote in the Course in Miracles that says the ego only thinks in terms of getting. And the Course in Miracles talks a lot about the ego, and of course the Bible talks about the flesh and ego, and there's all these semantic wars, and we're all kind of touching the same elephant. We're just using different words, and it's really, do we live by the Spirit or do we live by something else? Do we live by the breath? Or do we live by strife? And we call strife different things. Sometimes strife is called anxiety. Sometimes it's called chaos. But I want to go back to the quote with Course in Miracles. It says, the ego only thinks in terms of getting. So when you go to the ego, or when we go to the ego, and we think in terms of a clearing space, meditation as something that we don't get, but it's something that we clear out so that we can hear that soft voice. Then the ego doesn't know what to do with it, because the ego's like, how do I get something out of Fibonacci's video? What's here? And then maybe if there's nothing here, maybe if it's just about creating a space, or maybe an advocacy for creating a space, the ego, depending on your enneagrammic tendency, will respond to that space with its own ego tendency. So ones will respond with perfectionism, and they will find all kinds of ways to exercise perfectionism, which the best quote I've ever heard about the Enneagram 1 and perfectionism is that perfectionists aren't perfectionists. They are actually, if you really watch them and listen to them, they are experts on what's wrong. So they're imperfectionists, but they masquerade as perfection. And that's why the ego is so challenging, is because to the Enneagram 1s, it's literally a bondage of perfection, but yet they only fixate on the imperfections. Then, of course, 2s and 3s, and how 3s have a tendency to image. And I can go through the Enneagram, and I do, and I have. And if you watch my videos, you'll see the Enneagram is woven in my spiritual path, my own particular Fibonacci path, which includes the Bible, the Enneagram, and even the Course in Miracles, and of course meditation, cannabis, living a nature life. So, I was taking a meditative walk today, and I was walking in beautiful Durango, Colorado, and I had one of those just regular moments of just meditation, of why I meditate. And in this meditation, I heard the thought, or the thought came to me, and it was simply that meditation creates a clearing, a space for you to deal with life better. It's not something that you do to get. It's a rest you enter so that you and I can do life better together with more intentionality, with more life, with whatever we want to pick. I mean, meditation can be used for negative stuff. I mean, you can take an hour off today in your life and fixate only on what's wrong. Or you can take an hour of your life and intentionally focus on what's right. And if you're like me, you'll constantly weave in and out. But meditation is a time, for me, it's a technology-free space where I just go to listen. And I wanted to bring that clarity with that quote, that the ego only thinks in terms of getting, and meditation is probably better understood or explained as something that we do, a rest, a conscious restingness, so that we could hear the Spirit of God, we could hear our own spirit. Remember, I believe in the incarnate Emmanuel, so however you want to define it. So here's a few Fibonacci's on meditation, make it simple. Is number 1 is do something you enjoy doing. 2, make it a technology-free experience. 3, persistence and consistency. 4th, I would add that we add variety. Like sometimes I like to hike, sometimes I like to walk the river, sometimes I like to take deep hikes. When I'm in a city, I will sometimes just do photography to be able to kind of hike the city visually. And so those are just some basic Fibonacci points on meditation. And I wanted to answer that, maybe perhaps an egoic criticism that people think of meditation as, well, it doesn't do anything for me, or I'm not getting anything out of it. Well, maybe that's the issue. Maybe there is a place or a space of rest, of simple rest. And in that rest, much like our physical bodies need rest, our emotions and our minds need to be renewed. And how do we do that? Well, it's called meditation. Some people call it prayer and meditation. Some people call it being a hippie. Don't get caught up on semantics or words, and be gentle with other people's words. Maybe they want to use this word for that and they don't even like the Bible. Well, fine, that's okay. The journey is about an intentional time, at least once a day, or maybe once a week, or maybe for you, you like yoga. For me, yoga has been a part of my meditation practice for years. I mean, I can't imagine doing life without yoga now, or taking meditative walks, or cannabis. And now that I'm an older man, and I can look back and I can see how, even when I was a child, if my parents would have lived a meditative life, and how other parents, if they would have lived meditative lives, how many kids would really be on Ritalin, or how many kids would really be on these pharmacological toxins called, antidepressants, and what's the long-term impact to the human developing brain with those types of medicines, and compare that to cannabis. So meditation, what is it? Well, sometimes we can find what meditation is by what it's not. So enter a space today. Maybe you want to just go for a walk, or take your camera. Maybe you want to be like Fibonacci listen to some good music, photography. Maybe you're like me, you like to pray. I like to pray the book of Psalms. Here's a picture I didn't take. Nobody ever wishes they meditated less. And almost everybody wishes they would have lived a more conscious meditative life if they can go do it again. And yet when we talk about meditation, we have 9 million choices. You just need Fibonacci. Holla. Email me your thoughts, your questions. You like this content, drop me some PayPal. Go to Americana417@gmail.com. Go to PayPal, put Americana417@gmail.com. I'm out. You guys enjoy your day. Channel's growing. We're reaching more and more people. If you like this content, share it. I always like to hear from people. I got an email over the weekend on day trading. So maybe you have questions on day trading. One of my favorite things to do when I moved out to Durango was to day trade during the day and take meditative walks and to think about the market and my family. Meditation will change you. In fact, any spiritual journey, that's really the intent, is to change us. To help us think a little differently, maybe a little compassionately. Maybe more analytically. The problem is we start teaching meditation, we use these very, very finite structures and very, very limiting language, and sometimes it could be as simple as just finding silence and learning how to do silence. And then you're like the old Eagles song, Don Henley's song, learning how to be still. You're like, oh, I don't even like the Eagles anymore. I love the animal, the eagles. I love red-tailed hawks. And I don't like Don Henley. Oh, and that's another thing about meditation, is learning how to let things go. There was a day in my life that I would have gone to any Eagles concert. I've grown. The Bible says it, I think in 1 Corinthians, it says, as we grow older, we're letting old things go, old ways go. What does that look like? I don't know. Here's a fancy word. It's called meditation. You guys be good. Hope this channel is bringing you light and love. And just like this video, if you skip the ads and stay with it, eventually you're like, oh yeah, maybe I can try that meditation thing. And what would it look like for you? I don't know. I would love for you to email me and tell me. Maybe you're in Alaska and you're like, I went fishing for the first time, dude. Thanks for your video. Maybe you're in San Francisco. Maybe you're out here in beautiful Durango. Maybe for you, it's lift tickets and a ski resort. I found many a Jesus on a ski resort. PCH, Fibonacci. I took that picture outside Malibu, California. Of course, San Francisco, my soul city. Durango, second favorite city. You guys be good. Learn to be still. I'm doing it with you. Nobody's a guru. Except this guy. This guy doesn't need to meditate. He's the biggest horse in the world. His name's Brooklyn Supreme. He's 78 inches tall, weighs 3,200 pounds. And when you're a God like that, you don't need to meditate. If you're like me, John Fibonacci, you need some Jesus. You guys be good.